It's 9:13.
What else we got left before we?
Oh, we have Randall, we have Heather,
Have a coffee.
we have a couple of things.
I want supper.
I would,
Oh,
before we do your performance evaluation, I would like to mention, can I do this now?
You're the chair, you can do whatever you wish.
That Heather and I met with Representative Colcott and Senator Humison today with Dick Ferry and Bob Kozab, and they presented Dick Ferry and Bob Kozab with a check for $4,117.50 for the restoration of the Civil War monuments in the cemetery. Thank you so much.
where'd that odd amount come from?
Excuse me, what?
Where'd that odd amount come from, 4,117?
I think it was it a Mackey grant, I think?
What was raised?
Unfortunately, I don't have all the details of the, sure we can get them for you.
Okay. Tonight? No.
That is great.
I don't have their, well, I have, one of theirs on.
No, that's okay.
All right, so now we are going to outline the rest of the night. We're going to do Randall's, we're going to perform Randall's performance evaluation, and then we are going to adjourn.
Hey, what about my goals?
I think that you are,
Goals
But I
are.
had to wait last week, and it's really important for me to have
Well-
direction for the Board of Selectmen in order to carry out the business of the Board of Selectmen.
I understand,
That's what the
but
chairman's for.
the Board of Selectmen will not function if they don't get home sometime
No
soon.
problem with that.
So, if everyone could take out their papers. We have Randall, the highway superintendent, and we will try and do this the same as we did last week, and move right along. You can shake your head, interrupt. We will tell you what we think about you, and then you can shake your head any way you want, and interrupt if you'd like, add or not add, however you want. So, the first part of your evaluation is the job performance. I will say that this was very hard for me to write because although I know you well, I don't work with you on a daily basis. So, this might be one of the first, other than the fire chief, hard to give constructive criticism about things I am not too aware. So I may refer to Ed often because I think you two have a better working relationship probably than we do. But it does seem to me like you follow through with your commitments and you work closely with all relative departments. And if I can skip ahead to the part that says above and beyond, I'm pretty sure you're meeting with the Board of Health to come up with some solutions that maybe are not written in your job description. So, thanks. John?
Yep, I gave my copy to her, so I'm reading electronically.
Oh, I have it right here.
That's okay, I have it electronically right here.
Oh, okay.
That's fine. I put it, and I prefaced it by saying it's your first 6 months, so my expectations during the first 6 months are different than they will be a year or two down the road. So I think you had to learn a lot of information on the fly, and I think you performed better than expected during the period, especially since you had to replace a former department head who had 30-plus years. So I think what we're looking for is up here, and we're expecting you to get right up there quick, but you know, you're not going to be there for probably years, but I'm happy with what I've seen. And mostly what I've seen, I can't say too much on personnel management, but fiscal management. I know when I was on the finance committee and we were working through budgets, you were there, you were offering suggestions and ideas, and you continue to do that, and you don't shy away from, you know, looking, saying, okay, I've got to cut the budget. You look into your budget, find out what can be done, and you're proactive with coming back. So I don't think you just sit there and wait for things to happen. I think you're there, you're trying to help work with us, work with Heather, work with the finance committee. So that I was real happy with. In communication, again, with the Board of Selectmen and Finance Committees, I think you're professional, courteous, got a nice sense of humor. You know, you don't take things too seriously, and I don't think you hold a grudge against anybody. So I think you've got a nice mix of personality and professionalism.
Jackie?
I would just like to say that I am impressed. You've been doing a great job. When we had a meeting about the CMAP program, the Citizens Emergency Management Assistance Program, you were right on it. You were really helpful, and I appreciated you coming to talk about that. Also, I want to say I really liked the highway video that you did. Really informative and really let us know what was going on there, and you was thoughtful, and I thought you did a great job in that. I like the way you communicate and you let people know what's going on in the highway department. You know, you had said you're not in his world every single day, but I mean, I think that you do, you know, exude confidence, and that, you know, your leadership has been effective, and I know it's hard to come in as a former employee, but you seem to be managing really well, and I want to stress again, if there's anything that we can do on the board to help you in your work, please contact us, and I want to thank you for a great job.
Ed?
If I might just throw in, a lot of the success of that meeting was due to the terrific editing skills of Paul over there. So, credit where credit is
So
due.
you weren't as good as it looked, huh?
He's a good editor.
There you go. All right, Ed, let's have it.
We're just doing one, right?
Yeah, we're on number
Okay,
one.
I believe he's worked hard to meet the goals and responsibilities of the highway department. It's still a learning process. I know he's only been there 9 months, but I think he was there a year and a half. He knew the ropes, but he's got a good working knowledge of the goals and responsibilities of the department.
All right. So you summed it all
I
up?
kind of summarized the whole thing, that's what I thought you were.
All right, so ready?
Go ahead.
I did not, hold on.
We went right into it. I gave you all the letter for like a self-evaluation.
Liz,
Hope that is included in the public record, just so everybody's curious what I think.
You would like that included in the public record?
Please,
Got it.
thank you.
Liz, evaluation, I did every single item, I just summarized
I
when
know
I
you-
talked to
I
her.
know,
Okay,
I
so
know.
she's got that over there.
Yes. Okay, so I guess I will try and summarize this. Would that be good for you?
Sure.
I'll just go through my whole thing, is that all right?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So when it came to job knowledge, I similarly to what others have said, I said you stepped into this position, and although there's a lot of information and knowledge that you still need to know, I think you're taking every step there is to learn it and figure it out and ask questions where needed. I don't think you're backing away from anything at all. I think you're doing a great job. I do know that you have department meetings now, and I'm wondering how often they are.
With my department, I probably need to be more often. We've had 2 or 3 in 9 months, so.
But it's a step in the right direction, and I think the refreshments are a plus. People enjoy food, just saying. Relevant memos are communicated to all employees whenever there's a change. I think that your openness and willingness to share all of your changes to them is very helpful. Fiscal management, I don't know what, I know generally what everyone else's budget looks like for the year, but I would be willing to bet that when the end of the year comes, we're not doing budget transfers to the highway department, because I think you're most aggressively taking steps to maintain and manage the budget that you were given. So being that you've only been in that position for a few months, I think that's a pretty good step. I have no issues with your time management. Communication, if I need something, I don't know that I ever have, but I know that I could get a hold of you. You're always at the Board of Selectmen meetings and any other meeting that you can get to, learning and figuring out any information that you can. You work well with other departments, problem solver, brainstorm well, i.e. the park issue and the bathrooms and everything else that you're willing to help with. Creativity and initiative, I don't know yet. And as far as above and beyond, I think I touched on that earlier, but I can't imagine there's anything that comes your way that you're not willing to dive right into and figure out. So, and I left the individual goal because we hadn't had that conversation like I'd had with other people, so that's not really going down the road. Ed?
Well,
Go
mine
ahead.
is going to be a little more critical.
I figured it might be.
Technical aspects of the job, but job knowledge, he's only been there 9 months. He has developed a clear knowledge of the department. I'm very pleased with that. Personal management meets many of the requirements of the department, but this is critical, but it's for learning purposes. But needs to spend more time in the field, which we've had this conversation many times, with the workers on the job site to develop and affect the work performance among his workforce. In physical management, he's done a good job. Time frame, needs to make goals for subcontractors and scheduling them in a timely manner so the jobs get done. And I say that because if the jobs don't get done, those roads fall apart faster and we're spending more money to fix them. That's all I'm telling you. Communication, he's worked very hard in these areas. I have no objections. Teamwork, works well with other departments. I'm very pleased with what I see there. Problem solving, makes some good, he made some good alternatives to improve budgets to the highway department and transfer station. I don't have any problem with that. Creativity and initiative, it's too early to tell. And the same with above and beyond, it's too early to tell. I have a bunch of comments that I think they're gonna go a long way to make his job a lot easier in the future. And these are things that we've had conversations on this numerous times that are key points to developing that job and making it efficient and effective. Needs to spend more time in the field working on projects. Needs to physically be with the projects. Needs to spend a lot more time on subdivisions to make sure that the new streets are built to the plans that are submitted and approved. Needs to spend more time on state aid projects, parentheses, East Street, Glendale, to get these projects in more of a, to move along. He needs to establish himself with the Mass Highway Superintendent's meeting, the Tri-County Highway Superintendent's meeting, to learn more about what's coming up with state aid and for new grants. And you're only gonna learn them from these people because they seem to get the information before anybody else. Those are some of the needs that I see. I think that Randall overall he was my number one choice during the candidacy. He's still my choice. He knows this is gonna be a work in progress. I don't expect him to do on the first year what I've been able to do after 30 years. It is important that he realizes it's a work in progress. I don't agree with everything that he wants to do, but he's running a department. There are things that I saw in his letter are important, but there is a grasp of what the highway department does and how it's been budgeted over the years, and it's not just that you're gonna come in and figure you're gonna develop a 52-year budget and the town's gonna fund it. You have other revenue sources, Chapter 90 money. You need to start using that efficiently and effectively. It hasn't been used yet to address some of the problems we have. And I would like to see that worked out for the year in some kind of a master plan, so you can stick to it and move to it. When I've talked to you about it. But on the other hand too, Randall, I wanted to be your mentor, and you can call me at any time for direction. But, you know, when I left, it wasn't, I didn't have much time to spend with you, other than what you had. So with that being said, you've done a good job. But don't let this bug you that I'm being critical. I'm being critical because I think you have the ability and you need to improve in those areas, okay? I think the job you're doing for the town is good, but you need to get more involved in some of those key areas I'm talking about. And you need to show them in your skills and get out there and, you know, we had this meeting, I think, today a little bit. You need to say no to some of these meetings. You don't have to go to meetings all the time. You need to be here more. You need to develop that important meetings you need to be at to have an input. You can't go to all the meetings. Your men need you for guidance, for directions, and technical skills. And other than that, that's all I have. I know it's probably not the rosiest picture, but I think that you're a work in progress, and every day you work here, you're a better person. Okay?
I didn't think that wasn't very rosy at all.
Oh, what do you want me to tell you?
I thought it was good.
Well, you want me to knock them down now?
No, no, I was just saying, I thought,
Constructive.
yeah, I thought it was really good. I thought,
You know,
you know,
I'm not offended by any of
no,
that.
I thought it was great.
I'm willing to work on anything I need to.
So here's my proposal, because it seems that when we do a review for people, they write us a letter, and I haven't really had time to read it. And so would it be okay if we put a discussion of goals for both Heather and Randall on not next week, the week after?
The 7th, the next meeting.
Yeah.
Well, I think goals have to be, I mean, we can set goals, but we need to have his input to set the goals.
Well, he
You know.
provided his input.
He did,
on
in the
thing.
letter,
I
so I
saw
would
those
like to have
goals.
a
I
brief
saw those
discussion about it, but I
I
haven't
think
had time to
those
read it
goals
to talk
are
about
good,
it.
but they're not addressing my comments. So,
We can come up with
Yeah.
goals that address your comments, but we need to put it on the next agenda.
well, the next agenda, we have the police chief in here.
And then we'll schedule a meeting to come up with his goals for 2 weeks after that.
Okay. All right,
Would that be all right?
well,
So
as
when do you
long as
want the
we,
goals?
start working.
On what?
I think we should do all the interviews and then develop the goals afterwards.
Well, they should bring goals to the meeting, really.
Yes, they did, but I didn't have time to read them to talk about them, is
But
my
I didn't have
point.
time last week to look at her goals.
Right, so you wanted
And
to
she
carry it
addressed-
over to
She
this
addressed
week.
a lot of mine,
Yep.
you know, but,
That's fine with me, but before we go, I want to just hear from Randall how he
Oh,
feels.
Randall, how do you feel about this?
Yeah, how do you think it's been going the first 6-9 months?
It's been a rough transition. I mean, I fully expected it to be challenging, but it made it look pretty easy sometimes. So I agree with a lot of his comments. I've got the administrative part down pretty well, I think. It's one of my strengths, but people management, I developed a bit better.
but you're willing to do it, that's the important thing.
Yeah.
My first year I was here, it was not like the last 30 years.
They only had
It
a
was very
1,000 people
difficult
there.
the first year.
There's a couple hundred people in town.
Had the same issues of how did you make the budget work with 14 and 17 weeks.
We have such a variable budget, it gives me anxiety as to how, you have a bad winter, and boom, it goes up, or, the price of fuel goes up,
Yeah.
it really blows the budget out of the water. A lot of our budget is material.
Yeah, but, like anything else, Mass General laws say you will stay within your budget after you accept an approved budget. So, you got wiggle room, but you might not be able to do things that you wanted to do. Because you gotta make things work.
Right.
And I know, for many years, John and I had this discussion to make the highway department easier for everybody by 52 weeks. But when it came down to finding that money, it was never there, I think it's a great goal to have, but, we even talked about implementing 4 or 5 weeks a year to go forward to get it up to 52. But you have revenue streams, and yeah, I know there's always possibilities that things are gonna change, but Chapter 90 work is something that, when you can, you use your own people, and you charge off against it. And that made up a lot of the times when, the first 2 years, because I didn't have water the first 10 years. Had the landfill, but it was $5 sticker, and that was the only fee, so it was a real major cost burden.
Right.
It's a different thing now. But, you're thinking, you're moving ahead with identifying issues that need to be addressed. But, not always the budget gonna get fixed. You gotta improvise, and you gotta, work with things. But I think you're doing good.
I will, there are a lot of positives too. I've got a good group of guys who know the job and take care of business, so that certainly helps the transition. Try to outline some stuff in that letter.
Really are. I would like to read your letter first.
Okay.
That's my own application right now. Sorry,
Yeah, I'm still working on it, but
I understand.
I had to come here.
That's the water agreement with the Zipta Farm that you guys voted on weeks and weeks ago, but
Yeah,
the
and I
problem,
sent back all the signatures.
but everything else is signed now, so
You
now we
need
just need
another,
signatures.
another vote?
We sent that
No,
So
back.
I can
I don't
sign.
need any votes, I just need signatures. It's been in my office for 3 weeks, they're waiting for the document to come
Is
back.
that Keith's phone on the ground?
No, that's, John's.
Jack Jacoby?
Jack,
Yeah, Jack.
that could be very
Call him and tell him
fair.
it's here.
He's gonna be looking for that, unless it's passed.
Call his wife on the phone, she'd be the first one. in the-
Have the phone, I'll call.
We can do this after the meeting.
All
What
right,
else do we, we have the payroll deduction warrant.
so sign this.
If you can find us on.
We missed a payroll, we have a payroll deduction for $39,298.63.
So moved.
Is there a second?
See if I can get in.
All those in favor?
Aye. There's an iPhone. Heck.
Sign both of those, please.
Is there anything else you guys want from me?
No, I suppose
It's
not.
passcode.
Wait, do you wanna talk about this before you go?
What is that?
This
Standard.
is,
That's the thing.
What's-
Conflict of interest.
conflict of interest form, Randall has a conflict of interest. I looked at it, I read it. I didn't see any problems with
Get
it.
file with the clerk.
No, it gets filed with our office.
Do you wanna talk about this or not?
Randall, what's Jack's last name?
Jacoby?
So Jack Jacobic, if you or your wife are watching this, we have your phone here, and I'm gonna give it to Heather, unless you come here before we leave for the night.
Should be about 10 minutes, tops.
If there's no, okay, our next meeting is next Tuesday at 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock, public hearing
Hello?
on the,
Hello? Hi.
where do I
Wait.
sign this?
Oh,
Name of appointing authority?
Yeah, I don't know how to get back to you.
By-
I mean,
Run
Just sign them.
underneath
The
it?
town administrator, or what do you want to do?
If you come. He wants to pick up at my house or
Okay,
something.
all right. Well, hold on a second. Here.
Next week at 6 o'clock is a public hearing on,
No, not a public hearing, it's just a, it's a
public-
public meeting.
a public meeting on the sharing of services with Holyoke. The format will be very structured. It is not a debate. It is an opportunity for the public to address their concerns. Can I outline it now? Or no?
Your meeting.
People will have an opportunity to make their point. They will have 2 minutes to speak. Everyone will have 1 chance to speak. The meeting will be limited to 2 to 3 hours. If everyone has a chance to speak and they would like a second turn, that's great. But we will only hear new information, not repeated information. And we're going to try and keep it as structured as possible because I don't want chaos. Then we have our meeting on October 7th. Special town meeting is October 21st. I think that's it.
Pick it up from you tomorrow morning.
I would accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
I know,
Aye.
he's a Keith Jack.